flipping through all of these magazines, telling me who I'm supposed to be. Can't see what I am, I just see what I'm not. As a child, this was my most favorite song, and not because it had the iconic Demi Lovato, but instead because of the message it portrayed and how it influenced me as a young child. Now, as a child, I was many things. I was ambitious. Some may say obnoxious. I was optimistic. Some may say careless. But most of all, I was kind. Some may say the worst kind. These some being kids like Matthew Steinwart. Let me tell you, I didn't like Matthew. No, not at all. The issue being his rude and insensitive commentary. I mean, after all, he did have the audacity to call me the most inconsiderate name I have ever heard. And annoying? Crybaby. I know. I was shocked and offended. So I did what I've always done. When challenged and pushed to my limits, I gave up and I cried. But this very instance also made me a firm believer of the slogan that all teenage boys suck. But in the end, I decided to change my socialite personality to fit in with the crowd. And throughout my childhood, I have fallen into the trap of approval seeking at its finest, and that is my concern. Approval seeking behavior is intended for individuals to gain respect and admiration from their peers. Yet what people generally respect is the very opposite. People who are true to themselves. And we lose exactly that in our self-identity in the process of doing so. So today, let's first observe why we as individuals seek validation in every aspect of life. Second, the effects of doing so, before finally cultivating a new definition for self-identity. In today's society, social media plays a key role in terms of external validation. But I mean, social media is great, right? Wrong. All social media except Facebook is great. I mean, Facebook users are concerning, especially the moms. Last year in Washington, several Facebook users were roaming the streets in tears, shoving photos of themselves in people's faces, asking, "Do you like me now? Do you?" No, Aunt Becky, we don't like you now. We'd like our personal privacy. And although this seems ridiculous, it's the #1 root cause. We want everyone to love us 100%. And once it becomes a need, we'll do all sorts of crazy things to fill that endless pit of craving acceptance in order to feel whole. Money isn't the root of all evil, attention is. And when we seek others' validation, admiration, and acceptance, we give them power over us. Don't believe me? Well, how many times has social media played a key role in changing our idealistic lives to portray a picture-perfect narrative? Matthew Lieberman, a professor of psychology from the University of California, conducted a survey for 12 to 17-year-olds, and he measured that 32% of the population faced major depression, and 33% faced anxiety, both being major mental illnesses. But the need for validation doesn't stop there. And though this sounds vile, it's true. But the extent really starts when we go to lie. We forget self-dignity, and we forget to truly love ourselves for who we are. For years, my mom put me in a little pink chevron dress, holding multiple trophies and posted these pictures on Facebook. Now let me tell you, all the moms loved me. But this very same post caused the epitome of trauma for the other kids when they felt the need to portray themselves with false accomplishments. We do this with every issue under the sun, indulging ourselves in diminishing the truth. Now, with the need for constant validation, and I mean constant, I asked my mom how much she loved me. Forewarning, don't ever do that. But her response seemed kind of sweet. She said, look at the stars and count them. That's how much I love you. But the problem was, it was the afternoon. There were no stars. And although this was simply a playful joke, it can become hazardous. Because once we seek external validation, it can create depression, anxiety, and low self-esteem, and make us addicted to hearing praise, approval, and acceptance. Now, we don't just seek validation to gain approval, but to marginalize the people we love most, furthering an epidemic of dark thoughts and glorifying a behavior that is detrimental towards our very own growth. But physical appearance also plays a major key factor in the need for validation. Time by time, we've all heard the saying, beauty is pain. But what does that really mean? When we adopt such simplistic rhetoric, we minimize development. Olivia Vella was asked to write a topic she was passionate about for her 7th grade thesis. And she turned to harbor her insecurities around the topic of why she wasn't good enough. Olivia candidly articulated what so many of us have felt at different stages of our lives. And when a 7th grader, a 12-year-old, feels pressured to be this picture-perfect image in order to fit with society's public standards, we must acknowledge that we as individuals have done something wrong. Granted, it's human nature to be self-conscious, but letting others' opinions of you dictate the person you are is rather pathetic. Depression rates are increasing among teens by 62%. Suicidal rates among preteens have increased by 109%. If this behavior continues, it's a checkmate on humanity and nothing else. But keep in mind, validation isn't necessarily a miscredit. The truth is, most of us seek validation occasionally. It's reaffirming and positive. However, it only becomes a problem when it's your primarily and only focus, and you forget to look internally for self-reflection. Most of the decisions we make are decisions based on either love or fear. And so many of us choose our pathway out of fear. It's time we overcome fear and choose what we love. Because all that's left with us, beyond perception, beyond personality, and beyond disguise, is our true identity. When we finally prioritize growth and constant improvement, we free ourselves from needing validation from those below us, and finally become unstoppable. As a child, I was characterized as annoying, obnoxious, and careless. But so what? That was my own reality. It's time you share yours. You look at others wishing you were them, but others are looking at you wishing they were you. You are beautiful, you are kind, you are loved. But most of all, You were good enough.